like to invite you back as we have some special guests that I'd like to introduce you to. And these are specially selected folks, just a different segment and industries and ages of families and businesses. So we like to do this, and for those of you who are new to our quarterly events, just to highlight some local business owners and leaders and how they're practicing some of the topics and themes that we're focused on at each event. And so we have a couple questions, and we'll just see where this goes. You know, it's like we were just talking about, for those of you, anybody Toby Mac fans in here in the room? Yeah, it was just a few of you, wow. So the old show, old song, Lord, if you want to steal my show, I'll let you go. So we're just going to let God do this with a couple prompts. So I want to ask each of our guests, obviously you've met Cory, and he'll be a part of the panel too. If we have time, we may open it up for some questions from the floor. So if you have one, think of that. If we have time, we'll invite you to ask a question of anyone or Cory. But I want to I'm going to have the other guests introduce themselves. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your business, and how you seek to integrate your faith into your workplace and try to expand God's kingdom through your work. So we'll start with you.
Awesome.
Go.
I'm loud. I'm not that loud. My name's Amy Talent, and my husband and I own Talent Co. Real Estate, the Talent Company. He's a chief creative officer for an outfitters and archery hunting company, and we have 3 kids. I have previously been a Town of Johnstown councilwoman. I'm co-chair of the Children's Museum, and it is all easy to say, I do this, and I do this, and I do this. And especially once I entered the political world, which is a fun adventure as well, I started getting questioned a lot about how I make decisions and why I'm doing this and what's the leadership roles I'm in. And it really is an easy path to try to please the people that are in front of you and try to please the people that are around you. And I found I was doing that far too much in my life. And so instead of focusing, when you're asking about how to integrate faith into all areas of my life, instead of focusing on being Jesse's wife or my kids' parents or the PTC chair, wherever I am, I'm just God's daughter. And it makes my life so much more simple. I don't have to perform. I don't have to care what the political party that wants me to do. I don't have to care about exactly what this person right in front of me. I don't need to people please them. I have to speak with grace and truth, because that's what God's daughter would do at the end of the day. So the fastest way for me to integrate who I am is that there's no different Amy on different days of the week or anything like that. It is simply God's daughter first, because God's daughter is attempting to be a good wife and a good mom and a good business owner and a good community leader.
That's awesome. Great answer. And I should have asked you, what don't you do? That would have been a shorter response. You're one of these you were here for the talk, weren't you? It's like what you need to say no to. All right, Brendan, Go ahead, man.
My name is Brendan. I own a roofing company called Roof Source. We started it 8 years ago. First, I want to say I'm very honored and humbled that you chose me to be up here. This is super cool. Over the last 8 years, God's done many miracles in my life. I was really new to the faith around the time that I started the business, and slowly but surely he just kept working on me and molding me. And over time, I remember spending many nights up all night, going through things that I actually took away at Kingdom Way events, and working with Dan, like mission, vision, and values. And I don't know if any of you can relate, but when I started, I didn't feel like I had much purpose. And you hear purpose and culture, and you go through these late nights realizing, how can I have purpose doing this? And so I spent a lot of time and long hours and years really honing in on that. And I realized that God's given us all gifts, and I put myself in places where gifts started to come out of me that I didn't know were in me. And I think that he's looking for the optimized you that the world's looking for, which all has to do with our character. And so we have 4 boys, and how can we go about our work with purpose and character? And I realized that God needs the marketplace, and that we're all on assignment. So I realized that I don't need to go be a youth pastor or go on a mission trip or be a missionary. Like, he can use me right where I am. And so I've dedicated everything to making sure I'm on mission and that I'm on assignment and doing what he's called me to do.
Amen, Brendan. Thanks for sharing that, man.
Yeah.
So, and thank you both for being up here, because God just brought you to mind as amazing leaders that I've come to respect and just involved in a lot of different aspects of our community and business. And Brendan, I've just watched you and your beautiful wife from afar and have younger kids, so I thought you could contribute some great thoughts, for a younger family. Not that we're old up here, but so I'm looking forward to hearing that. So we'll have you respond to this a little bit more too, Cory. But the next question is here: how would you define winning at home and at work, and what are some of the practical strategies that you try to integrate for that dual focus calling? It's a calling both to win at home and in the workplace. So we'll start with you this time, Brendan.
Cool. So I have, number one, a lot of great mentors. I've sought mentors in every area of those capitals, and a great mentor once told me, the two boundaries of the river of your life that flows should be to stay holy and have fun. So everything we do, we want to make sure we're in alignment with heaven, but that we're also having fun. I also need to honor my wife. She really is probably the one that should be up here. She's amazing. I could not do what I do without her, and if something happened to her tomorrow, I'd be lost. I'm reminded of a verse in 1 Peter, I think 3:7. It's like the weaker vessel, and it says, "Seek to understand your wife, or your prayers will be hindered." And so as we do work together, and so navigating a household of four boys and all the sports and everything else, I've really had to be patient and work on myself in seeking to understand her. We have a lot of practical things. Was that the question? Practical things that we do?
Yeah.
Sorry, I took a couple notes.
Strategies how you
Yeah. So I don't want to say we never miss, but we have a weekly coffee break. So not a date night, but we meet every single week. We do our best. Very few things get in the way of this, where we go through our schedule. We look at what's ahead, and we look at each other in the eyes and ask each other how we're doing. In every area, not just work-wise. I mean, work definitely sometimes overpowers the conversation, but we talk about just overall how we're doing. We talk about our gourmet life. We talk about everything. So, and in those meetings, we plan the dates, typically, or we talk about the big trip, the family trip, because as you said, we have to plan our whole year in advance when it comes to trips. Not only for me and the boys, but for us together individually or us as a family. So a weekly coffee break, which feel free to, I have a whole agenda of questions and prompts. And sometimes I leave those meetings really upset and mad and super upset. But then there's others that we leave all right, it's going pretty good, but it's just being consistent in making that time, creating that space. We have shifted it around from being breakfast or lunch or whatever, depending on the time of year and what kid needs to get where. Sure. But that's probably been the biggest thing for us, is just that we're meeting weekly and truly checking in every area.
And how old are your boys?
So we have a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 14-year-old.
Oh man, let's give these guys a hand, huh? That's a challenge. That's a challenge. Before you answer the same question, Amy, so a few years back you did something kind of radical to guard your home life. Do you remember what that was? Change of vicinity. You sold your home.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so the older two boys aren't biologically mine. Amy came with two beautiful boys. They were 6 and 7 when I came into their life. And their dad lives in Longmont. The childhood home that I grew up in, there's a whole long story to that, but I saved it out of foreclosure, me and my brother who's here actually, and thought I was going to be there forever. And then God, through this journey, we had our first little one, and we started to really forward think about what the future is going to look like. How are we going to make this work? And again, a long night. I think it was like 12 o'clock or 1 in the morning. He got me out of bed and like full of tears. She woke up. We spent the rest of the night together up, just talking and crying and talking about the future. And very clearly, like, the audible voice of God said, like, the only way to fix this is for you to move closer to the boy's dad. This was in 2021. Market was great. Rates were low. And we had no problem selling. We did find a miracle house, and we're close to his dad, the boy's dad, who's a dear friend. Him and I have coached the boys together. Because again, it's not about me, it's about them. And yeah.
And that simplified your life a lot. I remember you telling me about it was a hard decision, but it was a big one and radical that really changed things for you. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, really quickly, we went through this book at Kingdom Way, and it said, how do you create more margin in your life? And that was all during that season.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Amy, same question.
I completely agree. First and foremost, it's the spouse that makes a lot of things work in all of this. So Jesse and I have God first, and then we have our marriage, and then we have the kids, and then we have our community. Because if this isn't in order, you're not going to properly take care of this in any way. And so I think the other thing too is, I have an unpopular opinion in the world that's now an unpopular opinion, that men and women are different and we do things differently, and it's wonderful that we do things differently. And every single time Jesse and I try to step into each other's roles, that's when chaos happens. And so I love that men's brains are usually a lot more compartmentalized. And so my best friend's a home ec teacher in Cheyenne, and she goes back to the concept that men's brains are like waffles and they're all compartmentalized. And that's how they are able to process things, and thank God for that. We need that as well. But my brain is like a giant mold of cooked spaghetti that you like splatter on the countertop, and nothing, there's no end, there's no beginning, there's just fluidity in who I am and who I'm supposed to be in this world. And so we really love that we're made differently, and we lean into that, and we have each other's backs on that. I don't hustle. Hustle's not for me. I don't feel like hustle culture is the right culture for most women. We don't hustle, we align. And then we don't really do the balance. We harmonize. I'm the same person at PTC as I am at church, as I am at home, and all of these things. It's a really great thing to understand who God made you to be and how he made your body to work, and to stop fighting that all the time, and to lean into who you were supposed to be and understand your gifts instead of trying to do somebody else's gifts in life.
That's awesome. So I'll ask you to chime in this one, Cory. If you could think, I'm going to give you time to think about it though, because I don't know if you saw the questions or not. But describe a time when you felt like you were failing at home or personally, and that you noticed that, and how you found your way back through that experience. Something maybe you haven't shared yet, Cory, that comes to mind, but we'll start with Amy this time and give you time to think about that.
I think I kind of touched on it, but it's when I step into the wrong roles. So I'm a fixer, and I see a problem, and I want to fix a problem. And I, through the talent company, when we were providing marketing services, we were also seen as just problem solvers. And so we would intern direct many different organizations, and we would do chambers and Bright Futures of Weld County and lots of different organizations. And I would step into these roles because I would look at it and be like, I can fix that. Of course I can fix that. Like, we can jump in. I have the skills to do this. I want to fix it. But a ton of those roles actually weren't meant for me. And I love the saying that talks about how God does factor in our stupidity in his plan, which I'm so grateful for, because I took roles from people that were meant for other people, and they ended up there because that's his plan and his journey. But I don't have to step into every single role that's presented to me. That's the hardship, and I feel a obligation to fix things, but they're not all mine to fix. And stealing that from someone else is not holy.
Wow. That's awesome. What a great way to say that. Go ahead.
Cool.
One of you. You get round wrestle for it.
So, what comes to mind for me, who's heard, you're either going into a storm, in a storm, or coming out of a storm? Any raise of hands? Have you heard that before? Yeah. So, one time, Amy and I were in a storm, believe it or not, and it was really heated, and a lot of it, she didn't know I was going to share this, so forgive me, babe. A lot of it, really, like I told you before, you realize God gives you a helper. God created man to have a helper. We have two helpers. We have our spouse and we have the Holy Spirit. And as a husband-wife duo, growing up and kind of getting into this, like I had plenty of examples around me and in front of me of who I didn't want to become. Guys that didn't have their rings on their fingers, that didn't know their kids, that grew massive businesses but blew everything up. And we were in a storm, and really it was around her feeling less than equal. And she's the CFO, by the way. She runs all the money, handles everything. Praise God for her, someone you can trust. But I was like, who can I talk to that can actually speak to this? And there's not many. I couldn't think of anybody. There's one guy that I knew, I won't mention his name, who we met through kids sports, who runs a construction company with his wife. And I looked up to him, I looked up to his kids, I looked up to how he was raising his kids. And I came to him in the middle of the storm and says, like, how do you do this? Like, what is something you can do? And he's like, well, first off, when my wife and I started, and I'm going to probably strike a couple chords here, so forgive me. The Lord says, forgive those who, anyway. He said, first off, the first thing we did is I made her the majority owner, so she never felt less than equal. And that was pretty much all I needed to hear. I came home that week, and we had a conversation, and, I didn't know what to do, but it was just like this sense of ownership. So we went through probably a 6-month process of filing documents and figuring out what that even looks like and how to make that happen. But I made Amy the majority owner of our business, and we already own real estate and everything else together. Like, there's no reason we shouldn't own this together, especially with what she does and how she leads. So that happened. We got out of that storm, and it's been game changer since then, for sure.
Wow, that's fantastic, man. So I'm hearing so far, knowing yourself and your gifts and your calling and what it isn't, right? Seeking counsel from other people, and you're a radical decision maker, Brennan, man. I love that. That's incredible. Did you think of one, Cory? That you hadn't shared yet?
I was too busy listening. But they talk about marriage, and my wife is awesome. I'll hit it from a parenting side. Just for me, from a parenting, I can be pretty intense. Like in the morning, I like to go work out. I listen to podcasts or sermons. I come home and I walk in the house, and it's kind of like, kids, what's the vision? What's the values? What are we doing today? And I know that can be, the word has been used, suffocating. That's a word I've heard in my house. So that's.
Do you know what I get when I do that? It's like, stop coaching me.
I get that too. So I asked my daughter, on a scale from 1 to 10, how am I doing as a dad? And if you ever do this, don't worry about the number. Just, don't get mad. But I did say, what's one thing I could do to move closer to a 10? And she said, stop coaching us before noon.
So I'm grateful to hear this. I'm not the only one.
Yeah. So anyways, I did that. And then also how that translated in my life is I would go picking up the kids from sports and dance and just all the activities. And as I would drive them around or go get coffee with them, I would always be thinking, hey, what can I teach them? Maybe there's a Bible verse to share or something I learned in a podcast. And they would just, they'd roll their eyes or get annoyed. And I was so frustrated, and I was in a particular quiet time, and I just had this sense of peace come over me that, basically God saying, ask me. Ask me if it's going to be a drive where I teach them something, or we just roll down the windows and sing Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. What happened is I would do that. I would drive to dance, pick up my daughter, or go pick up my son, and I would pray, like, is this a teaching drive? Is this a singing drive? What kind of drive is this? And on the way home, if I felt this is a teaching one, what was crazy is they would listen. And we would have more robust conversations than normal. And then if it was a singing one, then I had zero guilt. We had fun, we laughed, and I got home and I felt mission accomplished. So with my parenting, when I try to do it my own way, it doesn't work out. When I lean on God and try to seek His counsel, then things go better.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, great example. So any questions from the audience? We've got just a couple more minutes here. Panel discussion, if you want to ask anybody up here, or Cory a question. Anyone have anything comes to mind?
I got one.
Yeah.
Mine is kind of in the weeds, but...
Oh, okay, Tom. No problem. Let's hear it.
Okay. So, one of my big distractions is email. I feel like I live in this world where it's like somebody sends an email and then it's on me. And then it's like this baton that passes off. So I feel so hooked to email.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious what you all do to kind of manage that a little bit better so it doesn't go into that.
Awesome question. So a question, if you didn't hear it, we all feel chained to our emails, right? And how do we manage that so it doesn't control us and gives us space to really focus on when at home and work? Any thoughts?
I'm a person who loves no notifications on my phone at all, so much so that I clear his notifications because it stresses me out when he has notifications. So I feel it. But what I can tell you, an adjustment I made is I realized in my journey of trying to understand what do I do and what do I don't like and where are my gifts and where are they not, my gifts are actually not necessarily in email online. I have trained my network around me that I want to talk to them on the phone. In our brokerage, we require an app called Marco Polo, which is video text messaging back and forth, because I want to see how they're doing and I want to see what they're doing. And this helps because not everybody wants to jump on a phone call and I don't mind jumping on it. And so it just was a way our company could bring back the relational side of it instead of the tech side of it. And then we made it a brokerage rule that if you get on the phone with someone, you have to learn one more thing about them, or if you have a coffee with them or things like that. So it became less task oriented to get my work done and more relational oriented to get it done. And it really did transform quite a bit that I got to know so much more about so many more people.
That's good.
I'm not really a good one to talk to you about this.
I can never get an answer from Brendan on his email, so I know what that means.
You just don't use it.
Keep an eye out for what's important.
Do you have direct reports? Do you have people under?
Well,
A few, yeah. Man, I don't know how to answer this quickly, but I think just from email, I mean, that there's the reality is for all of us, and so this isn't like throwing stones. I mean, this is myself. I mean, so much of email is pride. We think we have to have the answer. We think we have to respond right away, and so we put it on ourselves that we've got the best answer for the customer or for the company or whatever the case may be, and just kind of wrestling through that. Hey, it's not all on me. So if you have a team, I always love, like when you go on an airplane, if you don't connect to email and you land and you open up your email and there may be 10 emails back and forth and the problem probably got solved along the way. And you can either say, I agree 100%, or hey, let's make this one tweak. And just from an efficiency standpoint, you start to see that you can equip and enable your teammates to do things while you're not on email. And for a lot of us, since we're leaders, really the way we're all uniquely and wonderfully made, most of it is to be more strategic than tactical. So the more time you're spending in email, odds are you're being more tactical, you're almost playing below your pay grade, versus if you're having one-on-one meetings with your team, if you're doing business development, if that's the lane you're in, if you're having strategic meetings. It's a little bit of kind of zooming out of saying, what is the best value you bring to your company? And how do you address that? Because the more you're in your phone, the more you're doing email, odds are you're not moving the needle significantly.
Yeah. No, that's good. Get your assistant. Right? No, yeah. But I like to use work mode and sleep mode on my phone, and that connects to my laptop, and just have deep times of work, that's for sure. And every once in a while, I just declare email bankruptcy and delete everything. And then if I miss something, they're gonna call me, right? So it's like, so when all else fails, boom. All right. One more question? Anybody? Yeah, go ahead, Rachel. Okay, you're the messenger. All right.
So we talk a lot about like having a family and making time for your family as well. What happens when your family has launched and your kids are older and you're out of college? Is it all right then to work all the time?
Yeah, no, that's good. So the question is, what happens when your family's older and launched? You know, can you just work more? And maybe along that, how do you stay connected with them, right? Because I'm in that season, so I'll just kind of start here. So I tried starting, and I actually learned this from my friend Leland. One day when we're on a trip to Africa together, he was texting his grown children some Friday dad jokes. I said, that's a great idea. So I started doing that a little bit, and I just talked with my daughter about one on the way in this morning because she's helping. And do you know... Where is she? Is she back there? Okay. Yeah.
She's hiding.
Do you know when a teacher tries to hide their farts, what it's called? A private tutor. There we go. Mic drop. How would you guys respond to the question?
My kids are still young.
Good dad joke,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, I know you're joking about working all the time, but I still think it's the same. In the standpoint of, if we work all the time when our kids are gone, and or at least have that mindset, we're going to end up losing our friends, losing somewhat our health, losing somewhat of just that overall purpose. And I have two empty nesters in our small group on Thursday mornings, and I'm watching both of them live two different lives, where they are, one is just all dialed into working only, kind of thinking, hey, this is my run, I'm going to build legacy, and it's going to be amazing financially, but he doesn't seem very happy. And then there's the other one is doing overlanding, and he's still working hard, but doing overlanding and going on trips and playing pickleball and doing all the empty nester things, and looks like he's thriving. And those 5 capitals, I've worked with a lot of wealth managers, because as people go to sell their companies, or kids move out of the house, whatever that life change is, many of them lose purpose and lose the relationships in their life. And there's books written about when people become empty nesters or sell a company, how quickly they can pass away. And the reason they pass away is because they've lost purpose, they've lost friends, they just watch a lot of TV and play a lot of Candy Crush.
Amen, yeah. So I guess it's the gray-haired guys on the end that are answering this question, because our they don't have any kids out of the nest yet. But yeah, I think it's a great season. You know, my wife and I are just looking forward to it more than ever. Spend more time in each other's lives, to spend more time investing in other men and women and couples, and travel a little bit more, and not feel guilty about it. And I don't think I work more than I used to. My wife's shaking her head. I don't know about that. So hey, everybody, we want to give some time for some next steps here and wrap us up in time. So would you please give our panel guests a huge round of applause? Thank you guys so much. Yeah. Thank you, buddy.